Welcome to the grim, lawless 23rd century, following the fall of USGov and mass depopulation of major cities at the hands of the multi-trillionaire de Huberton family. Baptized in radioactive hellfire, a rare mutation makes Turbo a fiercely pumped scrapper, haunted by specters from her past, surviving the post-apocalyptic wasteland one deathmatch pit fight at a time. But when she rescues the stunning trophy girl, the unlikely duo are thrust into a harrowing odyssey, evading marauding berserkers at every turn on their way to the ultimate showdown as they uncover the horrific truth behind the fall of humanity.
All right, welcome to episode 111, Making Turbo Pit Fighter, the comic book with me, Kurt Brugel, and you, Jake Jacobs, who is in the new digs.
That's right, I'm all moved in, and hello,
You're
welcome
to
all of our other friends. Welcome back. We've been pre-taped for 2 weeks, but you don't know what I've been through. I just moved after 21 years, and boy, can you accumulate a lot of junk. I told Kurt there's a lot of moss on the stones. But we're in my new digs, and hopefully we have a better fiber optic connection. This is a test, and we're gonna get back into drawing. And well, Kurt, why don't you run down what our itinerary is for today's episode?
Oh yeah. I mean, with your move came magically. You have just sent me the downloads for Turbo Teaser number 2 that can go to print this week. At least I'll be going to print this week, which means any of you Turbo text. Nuts with text. So all that painstaking.
That means camera ready.
Camera ready too. Yeah. So this is just a call out to all those who have already sent me their work. So thank you. I will be getting your copies in the mail as soon as I get my copies. I'm going to be heading down to the Kinko's, I believe, on Tuesday. So, but other than that,
folks might remember that this is where Kurt and I take a slightly divergent path. I'm sending as soon as Kurt sends me the imposed pages, I'm going to be just sending out to a quick printer and getting my copies stapled for me.
Yeah.
And we'll be
and I'm gonna staple my own.
He has a long arm stapler. He's gonna get a whole bunch of copies. He's gonna have to fold them in half neatly. He's gonna have to lay one into the others like nesting dolls. And then he's going to have to line up his stapler, shoot 2 staples into everyone. And there's a satisfaction to the DIY, craze. I get it. But I'm farming it out, man. I'm farming it out.
I know you.
I want to see what this quick print stuff is like. And I also have my other comic. I have my Pearl White Malady comic, which is also close to completion when I'm doing with my school kids, and I want to quick print that too. So today we're not working on the Turbo Teaser anymore. We're off it.
Turbo Teaser is done. It is done. We are back 2 pages, but you have something underneath your pages right there, which is a little package I sent to you, which I don't even have copies of, which is. You're going to open it up. You haven't even opened this up. Go ahead. I'm not even going to spoil it.
This is unboxing.
I have not even seen these myself. Mine are coming.
There's a lot going on,
night.
folks. There's a lot going on. We have this finished product talking about printers and fulfillment. And so wow, look at this. This is the new. The new Crom.
That is the
And
artist proof. That is one of the few artist proofs that are going out to the guest artists and you as my contributing guest editor. So we will be setting up some time over on my other channel, which is the Kurt Variant Inker channel on YouTube. CromTheBarbarian.com is where you can weekly blog. You can read my weekly blogs that are fitted with a video where I sit down with 4
look
other
at this.
guest artists and yourself. So we're going to have to approve this artist proof before I get the final version up and out to the general public. So I don't want to tease too much because I'd like to get
I just gave it a quick flip.
yeah.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
this
You
is
like that?
yeah, it's an interesting size. You have I know you have the new prose story inside.
Yep.
You have the
Illustrated
collected
prose.
works of the original Crom. This is an original
Yes.
public domain character. Gardner Fox wrote it, and different artists were on it. And then you also have the stuff that you've been working on that we were doing some art
Yes.
direction, right? So
Yep.
it's the new and the old. And folks, imagine if you plucked a public domain character out of obscurity, put together a compendium, and then added your own stories. Here we got some turbo ads in the back.
Hell yeah.
We
Hell yeah.
got to work on this. This is cut off at the top. I knew that was going to be too close to the top. We got to be careful about that when we print ours.
Yep.
This one just kind of makes it in there, but you didn't do the whole teaser, did you? This is just
No, it's
it.
just those
Yeah,
2
okay.
pages. Those are from the teaser, but these are the
Right.
guest artists. And yep.
So this is the first time
super
Turbo is
excited.
seeing print in any form. Yeah, we have a lot of excitement here, folks. So here, I'm just giving this a flip through. We're not going to delve too much, but we also, Kurt and I also are going to be taping a Furiosa spoiler episode, and that is going to be very soon because we both saw the new Mad Max movie, Furiosa backstory, and I'm just like over the moon. I loved it so much. And it didn't disappoint, and we're going to be talking about that blow by blow. So look for that special episode. Other than that, we can jump right back into it. I got some old pages here. This is page 16. This is here's page 1. So this will be kind of a rare flip. I know that I'm zoomed in, but this is going to be a rare flip. Now, the reason why I have the last 2 pages on top and then I have all the other ones below is because I've been referring to these for my continuity. Folks might remember, if you're a close Turbo Not watcher, that we just got back to the orphanage. Turbo just got back to the orphanage that was under siege. And so this is the sequence in issue 2 that I've been working on most recently. And this is going to take us into this battle scene. So this is page 17 of issue 2, pencils. Here's page 16, the page before, where she leaves the pharmacy and she retraces her steps through the twisted wreckage and everything. So I gotta find page 18. Right here. And I just finished page 18 too. This one was taking a while, where the steeple opens up, right? First it's like this, and here we see it's opening up. We need better sound effects. Cree. And we don't know when the last time it opened up was, but they open it up, and then when they open it up, there's turrets going in every direction, with the nuns, dropping down on like little rope lines. This is what one of them looks like. Ka-choom, ka-choom, ka-choom. And here they are, just like rappelling down to shoot these bastards. Here we can see Turbo picking up a gun. Let me try and center that. Turbo picking up a gun from one of the fallen. It says, not too hard finding heavy arms among the fallen. Folks can see that we're doing the text right on the art this time. And we're going to be lettering that right onto the art this time. Turbo blows this guy's melon apart. Been a long time since I got to kill RM dogs. Something takes over. This something takes over, folks might remember from issue 1. That was a line that we used at the very beginning. Something takes over when she was in the pit fight. And so now I have the pleasure and honor of starting a new page. This is going to be page 19, and I need to go back to my notes now and find my little spiral bound notes, which I should have prepared before we started taping. So I'm going to ask Kurt now to stall and vamp while I find that. But let's bring Kurt full screen and find out what where Kurt's at. Kurt, any way you could back us up on a couple of pages?
Sure. So this is page 22 of issue 1. I have the other pages over here. Let me grab. I'll go backwards. So now we're going to page 21.
Mm-hmm. Oh, so I have a treat for you.
Oh, okay.
And the treat is not my spiral bound notebook, but I do remember finding that recently and putting it somewhere. The treat for you I have that I did find in all my moving is this. I used to work at a printing plant. It was called Printech in Stamford, Connecticut. And one of the cool things that I used to get all the time was these completely, perfectly hardbound, empty books. What they would do is they would send these to a client, and they would say, "This is going to be the format of your book, except you open it up and just empty pages." So what I do is turn this into the most awesome sketchbook. Also, these are coated pages. So I have shiny pages, which go perfectly with this. I just received this from Amazon.
What is that?
I just got a case of these. Look how shiny and nice these are.
Whoa.
And so these...
Those flares? Those flares?
They're imitation flares from Amazon Basic.
Yeah.
But they're really good on this coated paper. And let me just demo this. So you see how I have some postmarks. Oops, I just gave out my phone number. You see how I have some postmarks here? And this is the treat for Kurt. Look how smooth this is. I don't know if you can see, but this is a real shiny coated stock. And this was the sketch. This was the type of paper I was sketching on back in those days when I worked for the printer, where I first started doing the turbo sketches, the first turbo sketches. That's on the same paper. But here's what I'm talking about. See this guy? Does this guy look a little familiar? So here is what So this is just like a crazy sketchbook where I have all kinds of stuff. I'm using ballpoint, trying out all these different roller pens, right? I'm doing some like graffiti stuff and sketching a lot about the woman I was dating at the time.
New Jersey woman.
Yeah, exactly. So
did you do a song? Did you do a song for Von Ghouls on that one?
I wrote a song for her. It's actually a Stooges song that I lifted and took the and changed all the lyrics. And because she was Greek, I called it Kalamata instead of Johanna, which is a great Stooges song. So I found with a ballpoint, I was sketching out some of the sequences in the issue 1 pit fight. So this is, look, Torozar. This is like a little like logo piece for Torozar. This is an early sketch of Torozar. And I did photograph these, so Kurt will have them. Kurt, you'll have them by email if you want to pop up some pictures. But here's Torozar, and then I wrote like this one here. He's gonna have these spikes, and he's gonna have this little like short vest. So let's go through to the other bookmarks and look at this guy. So I wrote nostrils a la Antonio Vargas. And this is the character that you're drawing that was licking Trophy Girl. And I even go you one better. This is a sketch I made of a sequence. This was kind of like the moment I decided there's going to be, it's not a barren landscape. It's going to be a burned out city. City is going to be burned out with like bums everywhere. And that's what Trophy is kind of walking through in one of these panels. You see she walks through something that looks like this. This was the reference sketch I made.
Oh,
See,
wow.
I'm like Michelangelo over here. And look at this. If Michelangelo did sketches of every little piece that was in his paintings, right?
He
I'm just
probably
like
did. He just
Michelangelo.
threw them away.
I'm Michelangelo without the genius talent. But look, I actually made this guy in the round, Mr. Jut Jaw
Wow.
over here. Yeah, see
Wow.
that? This is what you do with character sketches. I guess I had this thin little ballpoint. I guess it's just a thin little ballpoint pen. So this should be in the making of bonus material. But back to Kurt, you're at the sequence where Trophy takes off on her own, says, "I don't need Turbo."
Right.
Takes off on her own, is going through the burnt out landscape, is passing by bums and everything, and it's pretty unsafe. And then she gets chased by the marauders. And she calls this cab. There are these cabs that are roaming around. But when the cab picks her up, it takes her to a remote alley and then starts doing what you can see there, which looks like it's an assault, right? Are you taking us backwards now? Yes. This is
Yeah, I'm just going to this, page 20.
Right, we're going backwards. So he goes in, parks in an alley, turns to her. He pulls out a knife, which is like kind of like a chainsaw knife, right?
Yeah, it's like I don't know,
little chainsaw knife, right? Like it isn't enough that he's going to just stab her. He's going to like carve her up like Leatherface. Right? And then do you want to take us even back farther? Right? When she's in
page 19.
Right, so here she's being pursued and she sees this cab that rescues her. So this is just like kind of like a mercenary mechanic guy who is roaming around in this hopped up cab, and he picks her up. And then so Kurt is really in the kind of like in the late stages of issue number 1. He's in the 20s.
Yep.
And this all stems from Trophy's rejection of Turbo. Right? Turbo saves her, but she's like, "Yeah, no thanks. I'll be on my own." And Turbo's like, "You're not going to last very long." Right? Words to that effect. And what do we see? We see the hate breeders that find her in no time. And Turbo drives away, letting her fend for herself. I think Turbo is going to be around. What happens after she defends herself in the cab is when Turbo rescues her again, right? Yet again.
Yeah.
We're not up to that part yet.
Nope.
Right. So issue 1 is really establishing the relationship between Turbo and Trophy, and she's not a willing participant in this relationship, but Turbo obviously has eyes for her. There's not a lot of beauty left in this, burnt out landscape. That's an idea that we're going to talk about in the Furiosa segment, because the Furiosa segment, of course, is, to me, the definitive genre creating franchise of the, quintessential post-apocalyptic landscape movie genre. And and I was just so excited to see, you know, some of the themes that popped up in the movie. So yeah, so Kurt, why don't you, for people that haven't heard in a while, why don't you bring us through your process, and I'll be looking for my spiral bound as you do that. You're doing the 80% thing, right?
Yeah, I work in pen and ink, which are these are some of my trusty tools. I usually get started with one of these Furiosa hard tips. I've got like tons of these. And then we'll move over to, and then I'll move over to the high-tech C. And basically, if I'm at any more darker areas, I've always got these double tips. These are, I forget the name of them. It's written in Japanese. It's a pilot. But this is a bit softer but larger tip. And then this is even bigger for getting darker areas. So I bring these pages up to 80%, I say. I then do a scanned. I mean, they're pretty, they're pretty much at a point where if I pushed them a little bit more just with pen and ink, I could go to print with them. But I also love doing my thing with these. Here it is, graphite sticks. So I rub this down on some sandpaper, throw some water in there after I've covered with liquid masking everything that I want to keep white, and then throw the gray wash down. That gray wash then flattens everything, and then it's my responsibility to take black and white pens and even gray pens, mark making, some white gouache, and then start creating those values all the way back out to white and black. So since we're not going to color, it's
Question.
pretty, yeah.
Do you so those pens you're using, are you getting a variable stroke, or are you just
Which one?
down uniform? Well,
I don't.
The first run you're doing. Yeah, is that giving? Because it's hard to see. It looks like kind of like a uniform, thick line.
Well, these lines here are with the high C. These lines here, which are like middle ground, I'll do with the Furiosa hard tip. This is all with this,
I think
so
it's
you can kind of see.
Furiosa.
It's a good. No, it's food. It's Fuden O Suke.
Let's see what I got here. Food. Oh, yeah. Food. Wait, I got food in Ogochi. Food Gokochi. This must be a different thing. Kurataki.
You must have something different. Yeah, you got something different there, bud.
Butchering.
It's all right. It's all right.
I know what you mean. I just don't want people to. I don't want people.
Now, let me. I'm working on a little side project since I'm down on time with my Crom the Barbarian. I have just shot a video, gathered all of the information for, I don't know how long the video is going to be. It's going to be on my Kurt Varianker YouTube channel and in the blog for Crom the Barbarian. And I talk about 30 of the instruments, mark-making tools that I use in order to do all this gray valuing. Everything from my pens, ballpoint pens, paint markers. I also use a lot of spray paint, black, white, and gray, gouache. And even graphite. So that'll be something I'll be making reference to quite often when people do have some questions more in depth about how I use, what I use. And then I'm even going to do a second version of it where it will start showing some of the ways that I've created the application. The principle is really simple. I understand comic books have always been black line as catching an area, holding line, and then there's a color plate, and then they're put in there. One of the things that drives me absolutely bonkers, there's two things, it's one thing in two divisions in comics in general, no matter if they're independent or mainstream, is digital coloring is so grotesque to me, because it's such a secondary thought, in my opinion, in application and consideration, that it's very hard to read pages by the depth and value of what it is. The second thing is there's an opposite that can happen. There's people who make a black and white comic book who then don't take it to a fuller value system, anticipating going to color, and then they find out they can't afford the color printing, and so they print those pages. And then my head keeps going in and filling in gray value for the feeling of rendering. So this is all subjective to me for what I have learned over my time in making images. But I also feel very strongly that since we're making a post-apocalyptic comic book, I want the pages themselves to be distressed. And here, let me show you what is also meant. So this is page one.
You're definitely you're definitely making rough looking pages.
I'm beating up these pages. Now the thing is that you can see the values, and there's even color tints in here, because some pens, when water's applied to them, have red dye that seeps out, and some pens have blue dye, and when they have water on them, and they'll seep out. But when this is printed, it all goes black onto white. So the values have to come in and through. So when we sit down, and we've sat down in the past with my Crom the Barbarian, and you've given me art direction, that's one of the things that you've been reading, is because you've been doing a laser print version of my pages. So it really, like, it'll blast out even more white, or, some other things. So, very artsy fartsy. I really do enjoy this, and that's how it is.
Yeah, something really interesting happened to me when I was leaving my old house. I had a couple of crates of spray cans, and I said, you know what? I hardly ever use these things, and I was getting rid of this giant piece of cardboard that I'd saved just for this reason. So I said, let me go in the back and spray something. So I make these like kind of like graffiti-ish designs. I'll show you. It looks like this.
Oh wow!
But and they're real big, and they're real drippy on purpose and everything. But what I noticed, because I was doing one of my female faces, and I start them out with spray paint, then I take them back to the art classroom where I finalize them with regular paint. The real interesting thing when you're doing that thing, like where you say, all right, I'm using like a whole bag of colors here, but I'm only really concentrating on the gray values because they're going to be converted at the end. So a real interesting way to do that is because this happened to me by accident, is to wait until it's getting really dark out. I was outdoors just leaning these things up against like a bush, and I was spraying them, and it was getting darker and darker and harder to see. And at some point, I'm just, straining to see details, period. And it doesn't matter what color I'm grabbing, right? So that's a very interesting thing to do, is, drawing in low light. Try drawing in very, very low light with a pack of colored pencils or a pack of colored markers, right? Because it forces you to see only the darkness lightness value. And then when you turn the lights back on, you just have like some incredible, unintentional or intentional, artwork, because, you can see all the color in the light. It's a really interesting way to work, I think. So, people say, like, when you're an artist, you should try drawing upside down, try drawing with your left hand. People do everything.
Eyes closed.
Draw with their feet. Draw with your eyes closed. Right. We've done all those things. We've done all those exercises. You see people drawing with their feet. People that lose a limb, are drawing with their feet, and, they get pretty good at it. But, it's another great exercise, and you can see when I do some of these colorful faces, I really just layer on color over color over color over color over color, and it's just, I'm more concerned with the darkness and lightness values. And it's really interesting to convert them to grayscale, after that, because, it looks so intentional, right? But it's not. It's just a conversion. So, it's an interesting style. The reason why I'm flipping through all these pads is because I'm looking for this prelim sketch that I made for this upcoming page. But I'm coming across all of this other stuff that I do. I can't find the right pad. Apparently, it's gonna probably end up being the last one. I
Do you
have
have?
my page 19. I'm starting here. I just have my stick figures, but then I went off
Right.
of this and I made a full page, and I think I even might have photographed it and might have even sent it to you, but I'm not finding it here.
What about that page you
So,
showed us? What about the page you showed us of Elevena and Young Turbo and the blocks of text? Where's that? Is that in that? It's got. I think it's in one of these pads. You had just done it
um,
recently. There
yeah,
was a
it was.
whole bunch of. I think it's in one of
I think
these.
that pad is at work. I think that pad is at school,
Oh,
but I have a photo of it. So yeah, that's going to be the part where in a later issue 3. Well, yeah, it's the very next issue. Um, Turbo is going to find her way. She's on a mission with the package in her possession that she has to get to Elevena. Elevena has been incarcerated for decades. Um, ever since her here it is right here. Ever since her surrender. So let's zoom in on some of this text and see what it says.
yeah. I'll also
Why send
post
the
it over the top.
Yeah.
Edit.
Why send? And you can see here, like I used like some different color. I have like a purple, a blue, a regular pencil, and then a black pen. Um, why send the prototype to Elevena? The prototype, of course, being the handheld gun that converts radioactive peas into projected energy weaponry. Why send the prototype to Elevena? She's in with the fairy godmother. What does that mean? Elevena snags a hair off Turbo's head. She runs a 360 screening on the BESDB. She's off the chart on these lenses. We need to scan the package and print some decoys. So they want to 3D scan the package and 3D print some decoys because they're afraid, because everything they're doing in the prison is completely surveilled, and it's only a matter of time before, like, the guards and the people monitoring them can get in to intervene. But they're also purposely letting Elevena have her science labs and her manufacturing labs, because that was the kind of the conditions of her surrender. I mean, it's going to be a very, very interesting thing. The reason why the Dehubertans don't kill Elvena is because only she can manipulate reality, and only she has the scientific knowledge. She's a scientist first and foremost, and only she has the scientific know-how to do the human enhancement that they want, and so they think that by giving her a lab and putting her in a prison and monitoring everything that she does, that they can glean information. But at the same time, she's running a resistance cell, and it's kind of like everybody knows it, and then until Turbo sneaks in with this gun, that's when things get like upset the apple cart. So issue 3 is going to be very exciting. It's going to be kind of like a movie into itself when Turbo gets there, and they've been in this prison setup for a long time. They have a whole setup. Oh, and I have a sketch I got to show you of the complex. Upload schematics to RebChan CF for rogue mass production in the Dehuberton plant. There's a mole, right? And the mole we spoke about is a non-blood sentient discovered through the Mystic Interceptor. The contrast of the sentience. They are powerful. They use astral communication, transcendent awareness, cosmically aware beings side by side with mush-eating ignoramuses kept alive by dint of their wealth and heredity. And this is going to be a metaphor for the batshit loons in society with obscene privilege. So, yeah, so this is going to tie into a lot of different bullets. We have the sentients, who are, very, very old people kept alive through, bionic or, or technological means. And the reason why they're kept alive is the same reason Elevena is kept alive in prison, even though she's only going to be in her 40s at this point, maybe late 40s, is because they need these people to stay alive. These people are the only people that can do certain things. They're masters in their field, and they have, conceptual knowledge, and not just theoretical, but also like, implementation knowledge of things that are very, very important to, I get, the dehumanizations. Like, one big theme is going to be the breakdown of scientific sharing, and we might already be seeing that nowadays in our society, in the, in kind of like the way that, Kurt, let's say you're a scientist, you hit a breakthrough in your lab. Do you share it? Do you patent it? Do you, raise money? Do you get capital? Do you make it, free and open? Creative Commons, or, the whole idea of the engine.
You are paralleling some thoughts I've been having, and just to shout out to our last 4 episodes, we dive into our science fiction fantasy comic book being heavily supported by what the fuck is happening right now. And to answer your question, yeah. I just watched an essay on how Silicon Valley angel investing has changed. In an extreme drastic way. And I don't want to get into that too much. To answer your question, if I was a scientist and I had invented something, I think what happens now is I need to make it so I am the one that is intrinsically connected to the value of it. Hence,
capitalizing
Elevena.
It, cornering the market.
Well, back up. No. The thing that this essay was really kind of alluding to is just because you have all the money in the world doesn't mean you have the comprehension for the technology that's being advanced. A lot of why Silicon Valley has changed over the last, let's say 25 years is because of the failures they have experienced. And so like any good person creatively and business strategy, you're going to have a bunch of failures that are going to lead you into what matches in the higher probability of success. If I'm a scientist and I feel like I've come up with something, what I need to do, and I believe this is what's going on out there because you keep hearing about a lot of these people, not just your Elon Musks and your Sam Altmans and your Mark Zuckerbergs. There's hundreds and thousands of individuals out there that are so intelligent in, let's say, manipulating what's going on as established science to create products to then not only get the funding, but to become relative to it. And I think the thing about it is that with Elevena, the Dehubritans can't do anything with her other than keep her confined in a prison-like situation, if not prison situation, in order to be the first one to get their hands on it. So the resistance group is almost one of these places where she's leaking out information, science and stuff to the people who can do something with it and obviously improve their situation as well as the people around them.
right, and that. Oh, here we go. Here, look, I found it. And therein is
Wow.
the
What timing?
therein is the interesting part about the resistance. Like, we have you ever seen a movie where there's like a spy, and then it turns out they're a double agent, and then it turns out they're a triple agent, and then they just go back and forth, and you don't know what's going on at the end, right? Have you ever seen like a movie like that? Like they might not even know themselves. Yeah. So it's going to be like that where, she's incarcerated in prison, and she's giving some nuggets away, but she's also, basically to make herself invaluable. But it's not just her, it's her whole operation. She's going to have her whole prison set up with all of her, super squadron of enhanced females. She's doing enhancements. They're bringing young people in, and they're growing older in prison, but because they're like resistance people. But she's all preparing for like this big lead up to something, and that something is going to be this climactic fight. There's going to be this climactic fight, and we're going to see the death of Elevena after she's responsible for the scientific breakthroughs that lead to the downfall of society inadvertently, and also the resistance. Elevena will die in Turbo 3 or 4 and it's going to be a lot of fun to come up with the battle and how it all plays out, but it's going to be monumentally epic. and there is going to be a one-on-one showdown with the Unbeknownst One, because she knew him since before he took off and went rogue. She's the one that caused him to go off the grid and to become like a roving maniac, patterned after like a Road Warrior character. And yeah, so that's all coming up. We're going to be weaving that in, to the timeline. But Kurt and I are just at the point where we're at issue 1 and 2. He's inking issue 1, and I'm penciling issue number 2. And this is literally the page that I'm stumped on right now, because I'm trying to find my extensive sketch notes that I made. But I'm at the point where Turbo is rejoining the orphanage. She has the prototype in her possession. She's trying to return it to Sister Ray, who commissioned her to get it from the pharmacist who designed it. And she goes back to the orphanage to find out that it's under siege. Sister Ray is dying. This is her dying scene. And her last wishes are for her to get it to Elevena in a prison complex. And then, she lays waste to the orphanage to kill as many RM as she can, as Turbo is going to be catapulted into the sky and onto her mission. So, and that'll be the end of issue 2, except for a little sequence in the very end where we meet the Unbeknownst One for the first time, and we see why his motto is "the cruelty is the point." I cannot find that sketch, so I suspect that we're coming close to our 45 minutes.
Yeah, we're out. Yeah, we are. Yeah, no, it's good. Because I know we're both anxious to talk about Furiosa, and I also have my beach comic book haul. You had your Daytona.
Yeah, we're gonna do dueling hauls. I have a haul. Handy.
Okay.
I don't have my garage haul. My garage haul was packed up in a box, and that's still in its eBay wrapper. But I have a mini haul that's in my wicker basket that I can compare to yours. So that's going to be our next episode.
Well, yeah.
Okay.
Cool. Yeah, I'm excited.
So let's just review. We have Turbo. This is page number 1. Well, let me back off this whole stack. Let's review a little bit where we are. My daughter just dropped a dog off of me. Okay, so Turbo Pit Fighter 1. This is going to be page 1 of issue 2. The checkpoint, the explosion, finding her way to the pharmacy, meeting, what's her name? Embra, right?
Yeah.
Then flashback, she's back here in the present. They're being tailed by all these trucks and motorcycles. She's got some flashbacks here, back and forth. She's going back to Embra here now. She's given the wait, I think this is out of. Yeah, this is way later. Sorry. she's we're in this brutal fight sequence here that goes on and on. They smash through the window. They're fighting for their lives. They've got these weapons, or they've got these kind of like defenses. In the Furiosa movie, they talk about the rear defenses, right? They define the rear defenses. So here's this big battle sequence. Turbo comes out, jumps out of the van, Shanghai's clotheslines 2 of these guys. The battle's going on. Trophy gets into it. She's never driven before, but she's able to back up and smash this guy who's about to spear Turbo. And she finishes the job. Then there's one more page here before we go back into flashback. This is kind of like a respite, right? And Turbo's injured again. This is what triggers her back into the flashback when Trophy has taken the arrow out of her leg, and this triggers her back to this flashback, back to the orphanage, Sister Ray. And now we're back in the present. So this is gonna be like flashback to flashback to flashback. I hope this doesn't get too confusing, but here there's a present day Turbo going back to the orphanage, and then she's being cared for here by Sister Ray. She's getting a haircut, and then she's getting caressed, and then it says just like Embra when she feels that like closeness of a face, just like Embra. So now we're back into the pharmacy, and that's when we rejoin this page here. She's leaving the pharmacy with the prototype, and she's going back to the orphanage right here. We meet Dishbomb the Slaver for one panel, and then his head is blown up. And then we see this spire opening up, and Turbo picking up heavy artillery, heavy weapons, and that's where we're leaving this off. So I will be prepared next episode with my preliminary sketch, so I will be able to start laying out my blue line pencil and then my black line pencil, and then laying in the words, dialogue, etc., and moving on from there. So if you've gotten this far, thank you for listening, folks. Check out our other channels. We have Comics That Influence, where we do flip-throughs, and sometimes we do a comic, and sometimes we do a stack of comics, just looking at the covers. And our other series, which is creator interviews, that's called the Indie Comic Exchange, where we talk to publishers, writers, artists, other reviewers, and anybody involved in comics, indie comics. So check out those channels. And Kurt, anything else on the outs?
No, I'm just excited for this new move for you. I'm also amazed that you were this well put together. So other than not able to find your little sketch to get on your next page, which you will have next week, I'm super excited that we are going to have Turbo Pit Fighter teaser number 2 printed out there in the wild. And more importantly, I will start contacting those who we have already had conversations with to re-engage with them, find out what they're working on, and do another indie creator exchange. But other than that, Jake, let these people get back to reading comics, making them if they choose.
That's it, man. Talk to you later.